Hello and welcome to Hamer Reviews. My name is Christopher Hamer and today I'm reviewing two pro level standard zooms. The first is the Nikon 24-70 2.8S and the second is the Canon RF 24-70 L lens. These are both the top lenses for the mirrorless systems of the respective companies, and they both look pretty much the same as you'd expect. They cover pretty much the same focal length. They weigh within 100 grams of each other. The Nikon's actually 100 grams less than the Canon lens, but other than that, these two lenses are very, very similar. So why the comparison? Well, I just thought it'd be interesting to have a look at the different approaches they've taken. I've actually done a video on the 70-200s because there's a massive difference there in design language, but that hasn't really translated over to the 24-70s. And I kind of wondered why not and what the differences were, because these actually cost the same amount. They're both around £2,000 or $2,000 US. But where are the differences? So the Canon lens actually has an advantage. If I take the full name of this lens, it is the RF 24-70mm f2.8 L, which is their designation for pro lenses, then IS and USM, and the IS part is the important part. That means image stabilization. This lens is stabilized, meaning that in combination with any of the new or existing RF mount cameras, you will get image stabilization alongside, in the case of the R5 and R6, in-body image stabilization. Nikon didn't decide to go down that route because you don't actually get image stabilization in their lenses, you only get it in the camera bodies. That's all well and good given the fact that most of the bodies do have in-body image stabilization. However, something like the Z50 doesn't. So if you wanted to mount this on Z50, you'd be out of luck. You would not be stabilized, and it's harder to get good photographs, let's be honest, in this day and age when we're all used to various vibration reduction and image stabilization technologies. I have to admit that they actually extend to a really similar degree. It almost shows you how similar these lenses are. Fully extended, they pretty much are identical, and when you go down to 24mm, they're both almost exactly the same size. The Nikon threw out slightly shorter, which perhaps accounts for that slight bit of weight loss as well. I guess that the lack of image stabilization also saves them some weight. One of the interesting differences though is controls. So with the Canon, you obviously get your usual autofocus manual focus switches, you get your stabilization switch, and you get a lock switch to lock the camera at 24mm. But on the Nikon, you get quite a lot more. You get an OLED screen, which can show you the aperture, it can show you the focus distance, it can also show you some other information as well. Whereas the Canon doesn't have that. You also have a function button which can be set to various things inside the camera. Now, the Canon does have the control ring, which allows you to control things, but so does the Nikon. But yeah, that function button can be quite useful, especially for video applications, using it a quick way to change certain settings. The control ring implementation is one I prefer on the Canon lens, and it's interesting because Canon's decided to put them at the top and made them quite clicky. It's something I really liked when I first got the Canon EOS RP in the 24-105 f4L lens, was that control ring right on the front, super useful and super handy. The one on the Nikons, I unfortunately leave them switched off all the time because they're so close to the lens mount. I find it so easy to accidentally change them. I was constantly changing settings and it got very, very, very frustrating. Lens hoods are almost identical, to be honest with you. Nikon's interesting with their pro level zooms. They actually lined their lens hoods with felt, something I haven't really seen before. I think that Canon might have done in the past, but this is just plastic. But they both feel well and they both have a switch to lock them in place too. So overall, two similar focal lengths, two very similar lenses, but with different implementations, having, a few extra buttons and the screen on the Nikon one and the image stabilization on the Canon one. There are some interesting differences. Of course, when it comes down to the most important part, image quality, I have to be honest, there's not much in it. These lenses are so similar, and I found that across the range, whether I'm looking at the 70-200 or the 24-70, they just produce fantastic images all round, and I think that's a good thing. It shows you where we've kind of got to in terms of image quality. Sharpness, chromatic aberration, I can't tell much difference, to be honest. I think we're at that point where these lenses are so good, there just isn't much in it. Perhaps distortion is a little different, but I don't think they're worse or better. It just looks slightly different on both of them. So there you have it, a slight difference. The last thing I'll mention is there is a difference in close focus distance. So this will manage about 20 centimeters, whereas this is almost 40 at 38. So 21, 48 and 38 is interesting. The Nikon one is 38 at 70 millimeters and at 24, whereas the Canon will go down to 21 at 24 and 38 at 70. So interesting difference there. It's the only real major difference in terms of how they operate. Silent autofocus on both, as you'd expect. If you found this short little video useful, please do give this video a like. Equally, if you have any questions, pop that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know it's a bit of a different video. It's hard to just compare lenses from two different brands, but I gave it a go anyway. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do, as it does help and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you again next time. Goodbye.